views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Good evening and welcome to BronxTalk. It would be hard to deny that if young people, and frankly older people too, had more opportunities to recreate and more fields on which to conduct that recreation, then we would have a healthier, happier, and more lawful borough. There are movements in our city and across the country to make more and better playing fields available. In particular, the city is building 50 new soccer fields, and there's an organization that works nationwide that's making an effort in one of our Bronx parks as well. And so in our ongoing mission to demonstrate the possibilities that can improve life in the Bronx, we have a couple of recreation advocates to talk with us about these issues and all the possibilities. If you want to submit questions or comments, send an email to us at BronxTalk@BronxNet.org or post it on our Facebook page, and we'll read on the air during a future edition of our program. For the here and now, the co-founder of an organization called Fix a Field, one word, Fix a Field, Scott Barry. Nice to have you with us, sir.
Thank you for having us.
And the executive director of South Bronx United, my longtime friend Andrew So. Nice to have you, Andrew.
Yeah, same here.
Scott, let's start with you. Fix a Field. What is? Who is? What are we doing? Give us the whole story.
So Fix Field is a crowdfunding platform, www.fixfield.com, and it is centered toward bridging the gap between fields, baseball and softball fields, who don't have the funding and need to renovate, make improvements to their field. We can bridge the gap to help them get that funding. Crowdfunding is a very, very powerful tool. It's amazing the goals you can reach when a lot of people give a little bit. So that's what we're in, is Fix Field.
You know, the concept of crowdfunding, and a lot of us get, you know, we get it on Facebook or we get it through social media or somebody sends us an email or, you know, whatever, and we say, gee, will I give to this? My sense, and certainly my own personal commitment, is that this is an issue that families understand, that parents understand, that even companies and corporations understand. If we give kids and even older people a chance to play, a chance to recreate, a place to feel proud about them doing that, then we'll all do better, right? I mean, can I assume this isn't quite as hard to sell as maybe some of the other crowdfunding attempts?
Yeah, that's very true. From growing up playing baseball, it's always a lot more fun when you're going to a field that is really nice and, you know, you're a little more into the game or ready to go than a field that might kind of look a little rough, have its issues with an infield or an outfield, holes, no backstop, something like that. So playing on a field that is in good condition definitely makes a big difference for younger kids. And
I'm going to say something that I know that friends and neighbors in the Bronx can relate to. I know when I played Little League and when my kids played Little League, you put on that baseball uniform, or for girls, a softball uniform, and you feel great. And then if you walk out to a field and you still feel great, but there's rocks in the field or the grass is not cut like a real diamond, and of course the difference, if you have a real nice field, is everything improves. Talk to me about the scope of the nationwide effort. Then we'll focus in on New York and the Bronx. But talk to me about the nationwide effort. How many cities are you in? You know, how many fields are you dealing with? Give me the whole scope of it so we can get a perspective on what's going on out there.
The way our website works is we have an interactive map of the entire United States. So it isn't focused on any state. It's the entire nation that we want fields to get involved. We currently have 7 fields on our platform stretched from California to Massachusetts. So we have an outreach across the nation. We're focused, our main first campaign was the St. Mary's Field in the South Bronx.
That was the very first.
That was our very first campaign.
I like
we
that. I
started
like
up.
being on top of the world like that. That's fine.
Yeah, so that's one we've really had a focus on, trying to reach their goal, which they're almost at. Thank you very much for contributing to that
I did
goal.
actually contribute.
We really appreciate that, as does Coach Gibbs and the Mott Haven softball team who play there. But yeah, our overall goal is to reach fields across the country. Anyone in need, any field in need, whether it's baseball or softball, whether you're a little league who has your own field or you're a team who plays in a park like St. Mary's, and you need a field improvement, that's what we hope to help.
You know, I always, and I've said this on the show before when we've talked about recreation and other things like that, I've always felt if I go to, frankly, suburban places and I see, I drive by, wow, look at that Little League field, that's a beautiful field. And then I come back to my home borough, the Bronx, and I say, gee whiz, why, we do have some wonderful fields, but why don't we have more of them? What's it like out there in the country? I can assess, and I know our viewers can assess what it's like in the Bronx and New York. What's it like out there in America? How are they doing in big cities, small towns? Is there a way to characterize how it's going?
It all depends on the demographic of the town that the field is in. The fields in the country, they have more space to kind of be able to do things to their field as far as renovations go. When we get into the city, very cramped for space, and a lot of the times the fields are shared. I know even Mark mentioned that when South Bronx United started up, they were at St. Mary's practicing soccer near the baseball fields. So in the city, it's definitely
because more people want to use the fewer available fields that there are.
Which is a reason that beautifying those fields is such a great idea, to beautify the community when it's a public field that everybody's going to. And if it looks nice, it could attract more people to get more people out playing.
Andrew, let's talk a little bit about South Bronx United. We're going to talk about the whole thing about the city building the 50 soccer fields. But I think it's important, and you know how much I support what you do, to talk about South Bronx United. Let's let people understand what you've been doing in the Bronx for, I don't know, you tell me how many years.
Yeah, sure. So we started in 2009. Now we serve about almost 1,000 boys and girls, ages 4 all the way up through 20 years old in the South Bronx, combining soccer with academic enrichment, college prep, mentoring, leadership development, health and wellness, immigrant legal services. So we provide a range of different supports for the youth, the families, the community, to make sure that they're on the path to academic success, hopefully college and careers. But we really do that because we're bringing youth in because they're passionate for soccer.
The idea is to just have them do better in life, and I am certainly an advocate for if they play sports and if they do that at a young age and learn the discipline and all the things you get out of sports, then ultimately you can be a better and more productive person. When you started, did you say, oh, I'm going to found this soccer league, I believe in soccer, and then the need became apparent that if I'm going to do this, I've got to add those other components? Or did you visualize the thing from the beginning and say, you know what, we're going to do a soccer and an academic and get in a social program? Tell me how the whole vision of it developed.
Yeah, I'd love to take credit for having the full vision when I first started. Honestly, I don't think I really knew what I was getting into. I was teaching at the time in Morrisania. It was just started as a chance to do after-school soccer program for the kids in my school and in the community. So when we first started, it was just about getting youth a chance to get out on the field, give them a chance to get outside the community, travel, see what else is out there, compete against games, against teams from across the city. We had youth that had never touched a soccer ball before, but just loved the social aspect of it. Need something to do during that of school time, because we know how many different distractions there are and things that could take them down the wrong track.
Right, so one thing led to another, and you said, well, if we really are going to help them, then we may as well start connecting with schools and doing all those other
exactly.
things.
As you said, the need is so high, and we saw youth with so many academic needs and family needs, so we started to build on as we grew.
As I started growing up in the Bronx, we played basketball and baseball and softball and all those kinds of things, football. Never played soccer. You are really at the crest, and if you started in 2009, crest of I think, two large things. One is the awareness that soccer is a wonderful game, and you don't need a lot of equipment, obviously, and so it's very available. Plus, really an immigrant base that is continuing, certainly here in the Bronx. And so all of a sudden, things built up, and as I said, you were really on a crest of a wave. I'm guessing the popularity of what you do kept getting better and better because of the nature of the game of soccer and its popularity, which is now undeniable.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things about the time has helped us, but I think you touched on the immigrant experience, and a lot of immigrants from across the world grow up playing soccer. Soccer is a huge piece of their culture, and New York City is a city of immigrants. Over a third of the population, I think, were born outside the country, and the South Bronx is a really fast-growing immigrant neighborhood. So we have a lot of youth families that are coming, loving the sport and looking for something to do. Before they're even in the school, they might be looking for a soccer program.
That's right. So they'll look for a soccer program, and then you can say, well, I'm just guessing, you got to go to school if you want to participate. Exactly. Yeah. We will help you, et cetera, et cetera. Let's talk about the need for fields. So if you have 1,000 young people, and you say you start them early and may go up into the teens and even beyond, is it difficult to find fields? Do you run like leagues, like little leagues? Give me the scope of how the thing operates.
Sure. So the majority of our youth participate in a recreational soccer program that we offer on Saturdays at a few different sites. We use both Parks Department fields as well as a couple school fields. But the need is so high, we have hundreds of children on our wait list that we just aren't
Really?
Yeah, we're not able to provide space for them.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear.
Because there's only so much time we can get on New York City Parks Department fields. There's only so many fields available. Schools are heavily used by their own programs, and there's various challenges, bureaucratic and otherwise, to getting access often.
Do you? I think we should establish this. Do you charge? Is it a thing that is self-funded? Do you offer scholarships, or is it one of those that you have a base that you can provide free programs?
Yeah, for the kids in the program, they're asked to contribute $80 a year.
Wow.
So it's
I applaud for that, ladies and gentlemen. Really, I mean, and you're giving a lifetime of opportunity as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, over 90% of our budget is fundraised. So.
Right. So now let's talk about, okay, knock, knock, knock. Andrew, City of New York calling. We have this idea that we want to put together 50 fields. Did you jump up and down? Did you take the soccer ball and dribble all day long? I mean, tell me, how you found out about it, what your involvement is, and what your hope and expectation is.
Sure. And we've had a pretty good relationship with New York City FC. They happen to play soccer across the street from where we run a lot of our programs, of course, in Yankee Stadium. So we're in touch, and I've known some of the stuff that they've been working on. I think it's great for the city, great for the youth to be able to provide more space to play. And I think that's the gist of it. We're probably going to be working with one of the schools that they're putting in a new, they call it a mini pitch. So they've renovated the yard at PS49 to have to be able to get kids out there, get them excited about the space, play soccer on the pitch. So we're going to be doing some after school programs there. But the main thing I think is just them being able to provide more access to safe places to play for youth and community, because we know there's such a lack of it.
Boy, do I wish I could just say, oh, PS49 is, where is PS49? I don't know.
It's in the South Bronx. It's off Willis Avenue.
And do you have a sense of where else fields will be built in the Bronx? Certainly, as you know, that would be my priority.
Mine
I know
too.
how many we're getting.
I don't know exactly. I think it's a process that they're working on, and certainly I can't be the expert for them. But
with Randall's Island doing very well, has that alleviated some of the issues, some of the space issues? I mean, there's a lot of fields out there, and they're really very nice.
No, Randall's Island is great. It's a great, amazing facility, and with the new connector that they built from Port Morris over the bridge, it's definitely increased access to the island. But for a lot of families, kids that live in the heart of the South Bronx or other part of the Bronx, still it's a bit of a trek to get over there. So we need more spaces really in the heart of the communities.
The city is spending $3 million on 50 fields. I mean, you could do the math. I guess do you really feel like they're going to be able to do the 50? I mean, do we have the space for 50 fields? I mean, those are the kinds of questions I would ask. Is this a realistic thing?
And again, I
I
think
know where you're rooting. I can tell you that you want 100.
I mean, I don't want to speak again for New York City FC and the city mayor's office, but from my understanding of the program, they're taking a lot of smaller spaces and making them playable. So it's not necessarily laying out an entire new soccer field, but it's finding those schools, community centers, housing developments.
You call them mini pitch.
Yeah, mini pitches where they can take what was asphalt and put a turf there, or take what was previously unusable space and make it now playable. So we might not be seeing a full 11v11 soccer game, but it's a safe space for kids to play.
Hold on to that turf idea. I want to talk about that. But Scott, let's bring you back into the dialogue, and let's talk about money. So you see a general, you want to start at St. Mary's Park, okay? So you come upon this park and you say, goodness gracious, these baseball fields need work, et cetera, et cetera. They need to be leveled in both the infield and outfield. I recall myself playing baseball and softball in places where there were rocks. I mean, you slide and you're really getting cut up or a broken leg. I mean, there's just a million things wrong with them. Talk to me about specifically what goes into remaking a field, how much it costs and the kind of work and those kinds of things.
It all depends on what needs to happen at each field. We have a handful of partners across the country who are focused on field renovation, places like Beacon Athletics or Texas Multicam in Texas. So their expertise is the field renovation. So when we do have a field that's in that area, we can work with them to make sure that we are going about it the right way, because Mike and myself necessarily don't know everything that goes into.
Mike is the other co-founder.
Mike is our other co-founder.
Right.
We don't necessarily know the steps that go in directly to the renovation, like laying turf that's a little above us.
Right. So that's interesting. I'm sure you're going to learn over time.
Yes, it's something we're definitely working on learning.
Let's talk specifically about St. Mary's. What did you find? Who found it? And what did you say? Gee whiz, we really ought to do something here. What are you trying to raise? How much? Let's get into all that, the specifics. And frankly, if people want to contribute, you certainly wouldn't get an argument from me. Go ahead. She just put the website up on the screen too.
We appreciate that. Specifically with St. Mary's, it happened to work out that their softball team started 2 years ago.
This was the Mott Haven?
Yes, Mott Haven community softball team.
High school.
They used the field. Their softball team was founded right around the time Fix Field was founded. They've only been playing for one season.
How convenient.
Yes, and their coach came to us. She thought that
this was for girls and softball.
It's a co-ed. It's
co-ed.
a co-ed softball team.
Great, even better.
And she thought that not only improving the field would get them a little more excited about, but also having the team work together, to spread the word about raising money for their field. It's a good learning experience for the whole
ownership to it, certainly. And so what did you do? Did you just put it out like we're now trying to raise money? I mean, what did you do? And also give me some of the time frames when you started and where we're at and where we're going.
Their softball season started in the spring of last school year.
Right.
And that's when Coach Gibbs contacted us. Once she contacted us, and once any field manager or coach or athletic director contacts us, that's when we begin to work with them to get their field up on Fix a Field, get pictures up, get what their renovations are that they're looking to do, their goal, and then we on our end promote it. But a big thing for the other fields is that they promote it on their end, so their community, the people involved with their team, know that this is where you can go to donate to help us. So that's where we work together with these fields to promote their campaigns.
And how has it been going in the Bronx? And now the number I saw on the website, if I read it right, didn't sound like a lot of money that needed to be raised. I mean, frankly, it was $2,000. Did I read that right?
That is their goal.
That's not a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money, and it's reason we went that route was because Fix Field or the school itself hasn't figured out a way with the Parks Department to utilize the money. That's something we're working on. And we
So
hope
in other
that,
words, if there's $2,000, we still don't know who's doing the job, kind of thing?
well, the Parks Department is who does the job,
Okay.
and that's what we're working on to develop this relationship with the Parks Department to move forward with other fields in the parks of New York City and to figure out what exactly this money is going to be able to do at the field.
Would you then try and duplicate the same thing? So you kind of, and off the top of my head, I don't want to call out any park that might need it. And frankly, if you let us know, which I will certainly, or you can contact Fix It Field yourself if your neighborhood needs one, you will come upon the field and then help the community set it up. I mean, that's kind of a nice thing. That give a little guidance and a little kind of push them through.
Yeah, if it's totally up to the field itself on how they want to go about the renovations, but us as a company really want to work with these fields to see the renovations through, to make sure that that the field at the end, they've reached their goal and that the renovations that they were hoping to do get done.
Have you been through a situation where you start, you've started from scratch and you've seen a project through? I mean, I realize it's new and it's a new concept, but have you seen the kinds of results you're looking for?
Because it's in our infancy, we haven't seen a goal reached yet, but we are working with a field in Kyle, Texas, where they actually want to build a new field from scratch for a new Texas Collegiate League team, which is a league down there. It would be their 8th team. And they've actually contacted us to work with Fix Field to get that field's goal from ground up and get a new field built for this team.
And how much money is involved in that? I mean, some of these, I'm assuming, are more than 2,000. Frankly, I think 2,000 is lowballing what we need in the Bronx for St. Mary's Park. I'd like to see a little more, but go ahead.
We agree. We would like to see as much as we can. We hope to exceed the goal. A field from scratch, their goal is set right now at $200,000.
$200,000.
And so it's very new to the platform and something that we hope to build up.
Andrew, let's get back to, I mentioned it briefly, this idea of turf or grass. I guess my concern is environmental. I mean, you take down asphalt, yeah, I'd love to put, natural grass there. It's a little softer and frankly environmentally more sound. There was a lot of concern when the city put down turf fields everywhere that the materials they were using were not good for feet, were a little bit toxic. Have we improved that situation? Am I off base here? Give me the whole idea of turf versus natural grass and what you think should be happening. What would be the best scenario for the 50 new fields?
I mean, I think everyone would love to lie down some perfectly laid natural grass.
Yes.
And we'd love to have it kept up 12 months a year, 365 days a year. But I think realistically, in terms of cost and everything, turf has become the go-to because of, I think, maintenance costs and upkeep. And you can get, here in the Bronx, we have so many kids, adults getting out on the field. Some of the grass fields get hammered pretty quickly. So I think that's the idea behind turf, to be able to provide a lot of usage over a short amount of time.
Are you concerned, because a lot of times this happens in the city of New York, they put down 50 fields. I don't know how long it's going to take them to do all 50, but they put down new fields, and then the next thing you know, 2-3 years later, especially if it's a turf field, it rips, and then you have almost a worse situation because kids get their cleats stuck and everything else. Are you concerned about that kind of maintenance? Or are these reasonably durable, so you're not that concerned?
From what I've seen, we're at McCombs Dam Park a lot, as well as Mullally Park, and they're pretty durable. They've done pretty well. I'm not by any means a field expert, so I can't say, but I remember when I grew up playing high school, when the turf just started. I think my senior year of high school was the first time I saw a turf field. Not the AstroTurf, the field turf. And I think it does wonders for the community and for the game to be able to get more use out of it.
That rubberized material that they put in there, it's great to play on, right?
Yeah. It's and to be honest, a lot of our kids, that's all they know to play on now. When we go to play on a grass or because we don't get a beautiful grass.
I guess
they get grass, which is half grass, half dirt. And then they're not as excited about that. They're
not as excited, and certainly it's a much slower game. I mean, you certainly strategy-wise, you got to deal with that. All right, Scott. So let's wrap it up as far as what do you see? What's next? Is the idea just looking for more fields that people who are watching then can say, hey, my neighborhood, why don't you come and take a look? Or like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, that is our.
That's where it's
That's
at.
our main goal. Is really just Mike and I reach out to any fields that we come across, whether it be online, whether it be driving through a town, and we happen to see that this Little League plays here. We make sure to mark that down and contact them. So it's really just us reaching out to any field who might need, whether it's something as small as a new backstop or something as big as a whole infield renovation.
Well, I have to tell you, unfortunately for you, you don't know how annoying I can be. If I see fields and I don't like seeing that stuff in the Bronx, you're going to hear from me. But then maybe we could really do that and build communities around our playing fields. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I mean, that's really what you're trying to do.
Well, yeah, because it is a crowdfunding site, that it is the community who is hopefully making these donations, so it's great to see it come full circle and have, the money that they donated for them to help actually renovate the field.
Andrew, before we let you go, some success stories? You got any nice stories of kids who may have started with you in 2009 and now they're give me
Definitely.
something.
Before
anything.
I do that, I was going to say,
Sure.
you find the field or someone else finds a space that we can put a soccer field.
Let
us know, and we're going to get in touch with this guy.
there you go.
We'll make some
And then
happen.
also the city. I'm not aware that the city has picked up, or located all 50.
Yeah. There's. I mean, we're always looking for space. So.
Listen, both of you guys, as far as I'm concerned, are really doing really important work, and it's very easy to look and say, well, they're doing recreation fields, but if we don't do this for the people, for the young people, for the older people, for kids coming out of high school and give them a place to play, we are making a big mistake. And so I really want to congratulate Scott Barry from Fix a Field. I want you to use that website. And Andrew, how do they get in touch with you for South Bronx United?
SouthBronxUnited.org. Just Google South Bronx United, you'll find us right there.
You'll find them right there. And don't get scared by the fact that there's a waiting list. We're going to get those fields. There's going to be space for the kids to play. And so contact SouthBronxUnited.org and let's get the kids out there. You guys are saving the world, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you very much.
Folks, if you have further questions or comments on anything you heard on tonight's show or anything going on in the Bronx, then you email them to us at BronxTalk@BronxNet.org, or you put them on our Facebook page, and we'll read them on the air during a future edition of our program. We ask you to like Bronx Talk on Facebook, and you can check out our archives at BronxNet.org. We're on the lower right navigation bar of that particular page. I will tell you next week, it's just a side note for you, but it's important to me, it'll be our 22nd anniversary show, and we're going to have a show about Bronx photographers who have documented a whole project on the west side of the Bronx, specifically the Jerome Avenue study. That's how we'll do our 22nd anniversary. Thanks to our producer, Jayla Jubetis. Director is Michael Leone. And yes, we will see you next week.